The sensation of cool stone against my hands was something I had cherished for years. As a master stonemason, shaping granite and marble into works of art wasn't just my job, it was my calling. The solidity of the material mirrored my belief in the stability of my life. But all that changed with a single explosion in Iraq. The roar of the blast was deafening, and the world went dark. When I came to, pain was the only thing I knew. My leg, mangled beyond recognition, became a constant reminder of my new reality. Returning home, the pain of my injury was nothing compared to the ache of watching my world collapse around me. I struggled to find my footing on the uneven ground of my front yard. The place that had once been a sanctuary now felt foreign. My wife, Lily, met me at the door with eyes that tried hard to remain hopeful, but her fatigue and worry were evident. "Michael," she said, her voice trembling as she hugged me, "it's so good to have you back." I could see the strain in her eyes, the way they darted away from me, focusing on the cluttered living room rather than meeting my gaze. "I'm here now," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "We'll figure this out." Days turned into weeks, and the burden of my disability became an increasing weight on our shoulders. My inability to work as I once did meant that our financial resources dwindled rapidly. We had always been prudent, but medical bills and adaptations to our home ate through our savings faster than I could bear to admit. One evening, as I sat in the living room with my prosthetic leg propped up, Lily paced nervously, her face lined with worry. She stopped abruptly and turned to me. "Michael, I've been thinking," she started hesitantly. "The bills are piling up, and I don't know how much longer we can manage like this." I looked up from my spot on the couch, my heart sinking. "Lily, we'll get through this. I just need to." "No, Michael." She cut me off gently but firmly. "It's not just the bills. It's everything. You can't work, and I'm struggling to keep up with everything on my own. Sophie and we need stability." The words hit me like a punch. "Are you saying?" My voice faltered. Lily looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I don't know what else to do. I think it's best if Sophie and I find somewhere we can start over. Somewhere with more security." "I'm sorry, Michael. I just can't see a way forward from here." Her words were a heavy blow. I wanted to protest, to convince her that we could make it work, but the reality was undeniable. The financial strain was just one part of the problem. My injury had eroded the stability we once had. The night before Lily and Sophie left, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. I heard Lily softly say goodnight to Sophie, trying to keep the atmosphere light for our daughter's sake. My heart ached with the knowledge that I was failing them in the most fundamental way. The next morning, the house was eerily quiet. Lily packed the last of their belongings into the car. I stood in the doorway, watching as she carefully buckled Sophie into the back seat. There were no grand gestures, no dramatic farewells, just the quiet resignation of a family parting ways. "Take care of yourselves," I managed to say, my voice breaking. Lily nodded, her eyes full of unshed tears. "We will. We need to find a new path. I hope you find a way too." With that, they drove off, leaving me alone in the emptiness of the house. I sat down on the steps, feeling the weight of my new reality pressing down on me. The life I had known was gone, and the future seemed as fractured as the stone I used to carve. The days following Lily and Sophie's departure were a blur of loneliness and despair. The house that had once been filled with laughter and warmth now seemed like a cavern of shadows. The empty rooms echoed with memories of better times, each corner a reminder of what I had lost. I shuffled through the house in the mornings, attempting to keep a semblance of routine. The remnants of family life. Sophie's toys, Lily's neatly arranged cookbooks, the family photos on the walls, stood as silent witnesses to my new reality. One afternoon, I decided to clear out the garage, hoping that the physical activity might help distract me from the emotional turmoil. I was sorting through old tools and equipment when my phone buzzed with a message. It was from Lily. "Michael, I hope you're okay. Sophie misses you. I'm sorry it had to come to this." The words stung, and I felt a wave of anger and sadness rise within me. I wanted to respond, to tell her how much I missed them and how I was struggling, but the message felt like a cruel reminder of my helplessness. The garage door creaked open as I was finishing up, and I turned to see my neighbor Tom standing at the threshold. His face was a mix of concern and pity. "Hey, Michael," he called out, stepping inside. "I thought I'd check on you." Heard Lily and Suffy left. "Yeah, they did," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. They needed to get away. It was the right decision for them. Tom nodded, his gaze sympathetic. "I understand. You know, if you need anything, some help around the house or just someone to talk to, don't hesitate to ask." "Thanks, Tom," I said, though I felt a pang of embarrassment. "I'll manage. It's just a lot to take in." Tom offered a reassuring smile. "I know it's tough. Just remember, we're all here for you." As he left, I couldn't shake the feeling of isolation that had settled over me. The house felt colder and emptier than ever before. Later that week, I found myself wandering through the local park, trying to clear my mind. I had been sitting on a bench for hours, lost in thought, when a familiar voice interrupted my reverie. "Michael?" I looked up to see Karen, a former colleague and a close friend from before the war. Her eyes widened with concern as she took in my appearance. "Karen," I greeted her, standing up with some effort. "It's been a while." Karen walked over and gave me a gentle hug. "I heard about what happened. Lily and Suffy, how are you holding up?" I sighed deeply, the weight of my words feeling like an unbearable burden. "I'm not sure. It's been rough. They left to find a better life without me. I can't blame them. Things have been so hard." Karen's expression softened. "You don't have to go through this alone, Michael. There are people who care about you, even if it doesn't always feel like it." I shook my head. "I know, but it's hard to accept help. I feel like I'm failing everyone." "You're not failing anyone," Karen said firmly. "Sometimes life throws us curveballs, and all we can do is try to keep moving forward. I can't imagine how difficult this is, but you have strength. You've always had strength." Her words offered a fleeting sense of comfort, but as I watched her walk away, I couldn't shake the feeling of overwhelming loss. The park, once a place of refuge, now felt like another reminder of my broken past. The days turned into weeks, and each day was a struggle to adjust to my new reality. I found solace in routine, but the empty house and the echoes of laughter that used to fill it were constant reminders of what I had lost. Every morning, I would walk to the park, sit on the same bench, and try to find some semblance of peace amidst the chaos of my thoughts. Lily's departure had left an indelible mark on my soul. The financial strain, the emotional toll, and the profound sense of failure all combined to create a weight that I carried with me every day. It was a new chapter of my life, one that was painful, uncertain, and filled with the echoes of a once stable existence, now shattered by the reality of my circumstances. The cold, damp nights on the streets had become a brutal routine. I found temporary refuge in a makeshift shelter, cobbling together a small amount of warmth with discarded blankets and clothes. Despite the hardship, I clung to the hope of somehow turning my life around. One frigid evening, while I was huddled under a tattered blanket in a corner of a local park, the night air was suddenly pierced by the shrill scream of an alarm. My heart raced as I looked up to see a plume of smoke rising in the distance. The fire's glow flickered ominously against the darkened sky. I could see the flames leaping into the night, and I knew it was a nearby mansion. Without thinking, I staggered to my feet, the cold searing through my threadbare coat. Adrenaline propelled me forward. I made my way toward the blaze, the roaring inferno growing larger and more menacing with every step. The sight was terrifying. Flames engulfed the grand house, its opulence now reduced to a raging inferno. As I approached, I saw a group of onlookers gathered at a safe distance, their faces lit by the fiery glow. Someone was shouting over the commotion, and I caught snippets of their conversation. "There's still someone inside," a woman cried out. "Isn't that the McAllister's house?" Another person asked, their voice trembling. My heart pounded in my chest as I spotted a small figure standing at one of the upstairs windows. It was a little girl, her face streaked with soot and fear. My instincts kicked in. I had to help. Ignoring the heat and smoke, I scrambled toward the side of the mansion where a trellis provided some access to the upper floors. My hands, though trembling, gripped the wooden lattice, and I began to climb with what strength I had left. Each step was a battle against the heat and my own exhaustion, but I couldn't stop now. Reaching the window, I could see the girl more clearly. A young child, no older than 8 or 9. Her eyes were wide with terror as she looked down at me. I took a deep breath, trying to calm her. "Hey, it's okay," I shouted through the thick smoke. "I'm going to get you out of here. Just hold on." The girl nodded, her tears mixing with the soot on her cheeks. As I carefully maneuvered through the window, I could feel the searing heat around me. I reached out and took her small, trembling hand. "Come on, sweetheart," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the roaring fire. "We need to move quickly." With great effort, I guided her through the smoke-filled room and back to the window. My muscles ached, and my vision was blurring. But the girl's safety was my only focus. Finally, I managed to lower her down to the ground, where the crowd had gathered. "Is she okay?" someone asked urgently as they helped the girl down. "She's safe," I replied, though my voice was nearly drowned out by the crackling flames. "But I need to get out of here too." The firefighters arrived just as I made my way down. They rushed in, their faces hidden behind masks and helmets, and the fire's intensity grew. Exhausted and covered in soot, I collapsed on the grass, barely managing to keep my eyes open. A few hours later, the fire had been brought under control. I was sitting on the curb, wrapped in a thermal blanket given to me by a firefighter, when a well-dressed man and woman approached. Their expressions were a mix of relief and gratitude. "Are you Michael Evans?" the man asked, his voice both concerned and relieved. "Yes," I replied, struggling to keep my eyes open. "That's me. I'm Robert McAllister," the man said, extending a hand. "This is my wife, Natalie. We're the owners of the house. You saved our daughter, Chloe." Natalie's eyes were filled with tears as she looked at me. "Thank you. You risked your life for ours. We're forever grateful." I nodded, feeling the weight of exhaustion and relief wash over me. "I'm just glad she's okay. That's all that matters." Robert shook his head. "We owe you more than words can express. If there's anything you need." "I'm just glad she's safe," I interrupted, feeling a pang of pride and humility. "But if it's not too much trouble, I could use a job. I'm looking to get back on my feet." Robert's eyebrows rose in surprise. "Of course. We'll discuss the details later, but for now, please take care of yourself." As Robert and Natalie walked away, I felt a flicker of hope for the first time in months. The heroic act that had seemed like an instinctive response was now leading to a chance for a new beginning. The days following the fire were a whirlwind of media attention and community support. Robert McAllister, having recognized my courage and selflessness, arranged for me to stay in a modest but comfortable hotel while we worked out the details of my future. I was overwhelmed by the kindness I had received from the McAllisters and the public, but I remained focused on what I had to do next. One afternoon, I found myself in the McAllisters' opulent mansion, a place I never imagined I would enter again after the fire. The grandeur of the house was both awe-inspiring and humbling. Robert and Natalie had invited me for a formal discussion about the reward and job offer they had promised. We sat in a well-appointed study, the walls lined with bookshelves and the air filled with the aroma of fresh coffee. Robert, a tall man with a commanding presence, and Natalie, who carried herself with an air of calm grace, were seated across from me. "Michael," Robert began, his tone sincere, "we wanted to express our gratitude in a more tangible way for what you did for Chloe. You risk your life to save her. It's something we can never repay." Natalie nodded in agreement. "We've discussed it, and we'd like to offer you a substantial financial reward for your bravery. It's the least we can do." I shifted uncomfortably in my seat, feeling the weight of their generosity. "I appreciate the offer, really, but I don't need the money. What I need is a chance to get back on my feet." Robert's eyebrows furrowed slightly. "Are you sure? The amount we're offering could help you get started on rebuilding your life." "I'm sure," I replied firmly. "What I really need is an opportunity. A job. I want to work hard and earn my way back up. That's more important to me than any financial reward." Natalie looked at Robert, then back at me. "You're very humble, Michael. All right, if you prefer a job, we can certainly arrange that." Robert leaned forward, his expression serious but hopeful. "We have a few openings at our company, and we'd like to offer you a position as an assistant. It won't be easy, but it's a start. It's up to you to prove yourself, of course, but we believe in second chances." I felt a surge of relief and gratitude. "Thank you. I won't let you down." Later that week, I began working as an assistant at McAllister Enterprises. The work was different from what I had done before, but I threw myself into it with determination. The office was bustling, filled with people who seemed to move with purpose and precision. It was a far cry from the quiet, solitary existence I had grown used to. My days were filled with tasks that ranged from organizing files to running errands. Though the work was often menial, it gave me a sense of purpose and a steady routine. Robert and Natalie checked in regularly, their support never faltering. One evening, as I was finishing up my work, Robert approached me with a thoughtful expression. "Michael, I wanted to say that I've been impressed with your dedication. You've taken on this role with a work ethic that's truly commendable." I looked up from my desk, surprised by the praise. "Thank you, Robert. I'm just trying to do my best." Natalie joined us, her smile warm. "We've discussed it, and we'd like to offer you a more permanent position within the company. We believe you have a lot to offer, and we want to support you as you rebuild your life." The news filled me with a deep sense of fulfillment. "I can't thank you enough. This opportunity means everything to me." As the weeks turned into months, I found myself growing more comfortable in my new role. The challenges were many, but with each passing day, I felt a renewed sense of hope and purpose. The McAllisters' faith in me was a driving force, and I was determined to honor their belief in my potential. The journey was far from over, but with the support of those who had offered me a second chance, I felt ready to face whatever came next. As the months passed, my life began to stabilize. Working at McAllister Enterprises provided not just a steady income, but a renewed sense of purpose. Each day brought new challenges, but it also offered opportunities to prove myself. The transition from a humble assistant to a valued team member was gradual, but the respect and support from Robert and Natalie were unwavering. One crisp autumn morning, I walked into the office to find a neatly folded letter on my desk. It was from Robert. My heart raced as I opened it, revealing an official offer for a permanent position within the company. The job was a significant step up from my current role, an opportunity to take on more responsibility and showcase my skills. I felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as I read through the details. Later that day, I found myself in Robert's office for a meeting. He greeted me with his usual firm handshake and a reassuring smile. Natalie was there as well, seated beside him. "Michael," Robert began, "I wanted to personally congratulate you on your performance over the past few months. Your hard work and dedication have not gone unnoticed." Natalie nodded in agreement. "We're very impressed with how you've adapted and contributed to the team." I could feel the weight of their words lifting off my shoulders. "Thank you. I've really enjoyed the work, and I'm grateful for the chance to be a part of the team." Robert leaned forward slightly. "We've reviewed your progress and would like to offer you a more permanent role, one with greater responsibilities and a chance to grow within the company. We believe you're ready for this next step." The offer was everything I had hoped for. I appreciate this opportunity more than I can express. I'll do my best to meet and exceed your expectations. As I settled into my new role, I started taking on more complex projects and collaborating with different departments. The work was challenging, but it was also rewarding. I found myself learning and growing in ways I hadn't anticipated. My interactions with colleagues became more frequent, and I began forming meaningful connections within the company. One evening, after a particularly successful project presentation, I was catching up on some work when Natalie stopped by my desk. She had a warm smile on her face. "Michael, I wanted to say how proud we are of your progress. It's been amazing to see how you've embraced this role and contributed to our success." "Thank you, Natalie. It means a lot to hear that," I replied, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. She glanced around the office, then back at me. "I've been meaning to ask, how are you adjusting to everything? It must be a big change from your previous work." "It is," I admitted, "but it's a change I've welcomed. This job has given me a new sense of purpose and direction. I'm grateful for the fresh start." Natalie's eyes softened with empathy. "You've certainly earned it. I hope you know that we're here to support you every step of the way." The reassurance from both Robert and Natalie gave me the confidence to continue pushing forward. As I settled into my new role, I found myself not only rebuilding my career, but also rediscovering a sense of hope and self-worth. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt optimistic about the future. The support of the McAllisters, combined with my own determination, provided a solid foundation upon which I could build a new life. With each passing day, I grew more accustomed to my new responsibilities and the sense of accomplishment that came with them. The challenges of the past were still a part of my life, but they no longer defined me. Instead, it was the promise of new beginnings and the chance to rebuild that guided me forward. The fresh start I had longed for was finally within reach, and it felt both exhilarating and overwhelming. My new role at McAllister Enterprises had given me a solid footing, but it was the personal and professional growth that truly marked this new chapter of my life. One brisk December morning, I walked into the office with a renewed sense of purpose. The holiday season was approaching, and the office was adorned with festive decorations. I noticed the camaraderie among my colleagues, a stark contrast to the loneliness I had felt before. Robert and Natalie had invited me to a company holiday party, an event I was both excited and nervous about. As the party approached, I found myself wondering how I would fit into this new social sphere. Despite my initial apprehensions, I was eager to join in the celebrations and further integrate myself into the McAllister family. On the day of the party, the office was transformed into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights adorned the walls, and the smell of pine and cinnamon filled the air. Employees mingled, their laughter and conversation creating a warm, inviting atmosphere. I spotted Robert and Natalie near the buffet table and made my way over to them. Robert greeted me with his characteristic warmth. "Michael, glad you could make it. How are you finding the new role?" "I'm really enjoying it," I replied, feeling more at ease with each interaction. "It's been a great experience so far." "I'm looking forward to the party tonight," Natalie chimed in, holding a glass of sparkling cider. "We're happy to have you here. It's been wonderful to see how you've settled in and contributed to the team." The evening continued with mingling and festivities. I found myself engaged in conversations with several colleagues, each one more encouraging than the last. As the night went on, Robert approached me with a friendly smile. "Michael, can we have a word in private?" he asked, gesturing towards a quieter corner of the room. I followed him, curious about the request. Once we were out of earshot, Robert spoke earnestly. "I wanted to take a moment to personally thank you for your hard work this year. Your dedication hasn't gone unnoticed, and it's made a significant difference here." "I appreciate that, Robert," I said, feeling a swell of gratitude. "It's been a pleasure to be part of the team." Robert's expression softened. "I also wanted to let you know that we're planning to promote you to a managerial position in the new year. Your performance has shown that you're ready for more responsibility." The news took me by surprise. I had hoped for growth but hadn't anticipated this level of recognition so soon. That's incredible news, Robert. I'm honored and excited for the opportunity. Great, he said with a nod. We'll discuss the details after the holidays, but I wanted you to know that we're confident in your ability to take on this new role. Later in the evening, Natalie joined us and handed me a small, neatly wrapped gift. A little something for the holidays, she said with a smile. I opened the gift to find a beautiful leather planner. Thank you, Natalie. This is wonderful. I thought it might help you with the new responsibilities, she said. You've worked hard, and you deserve a fresh start. As the night wound down, I felt a deep sense of contentment. The support and encouragement I had received from Robert and Natalie, along with the positive interactions with my colleagues, had reinforced my belief in this new beginning. The challenges of the past were still part of me, but they no longer define my future. The holiday party marked a turning point. It was a celebration not just of the season, but of new beginnings and personal growth. I was ready to embrace the opportunities ahead with renewed determination, knowing that the foundation for a fresh start had been firmly laid. The following morning, as I reflected on the events of the party and the promise of a managerial position, I felt a profound sense of hope. The path ahead was filled with possibilities, and for the first time in a long while, I looked forward to the future with optimism and excitement. The new year arrived with a fresh blanket of snow and a renewed sense of possibility. My promotion to a managerial position at McAllister Enterprises had not only been a significant milestone, but also a turning point in my personal journey. I was determined to make the most of this opportunity and rebuild my life, brick by brick, just as I once did as a stonemason. My new role came with additional responsibilities and a team to manage. The transition was both exciting and challenging, requiring me to adjust to new dynamics and demonstrate my leadership skills. I spent the first few weeks familiarizing myself with my team's projects and understanding their strengths and areas for improvement. One morning, I called a meeting with my team to introduce myself formally and set the tone for our collaboration. As I walked into the conference room, I noticed a mix of curiosity and skepticism on their faces. I knew I had to earn their trust. Good morning, everyone, I began, offering a friendly smile. I'm Michael Evans, and I've recently taken on the role of your new manager. I want to start by saying how much I value your hard work and dedication. My goal is to support each of you and help us achieve our team's goals. Sarah, one of the senior team members, raised her hand. Michael, what's your vision for our team moving forward? That's a great question, Sarah, I replied. My vision is to foster an environment where we can collaborate effectively and support each other. I believe that by leveraging our individual strengths, we can achieve outstanding results. I'm here to listen to your ideas and help address any challenges we face. As the weeks went by, I worked hard to build rapport with my team. I held regular one-on-one meetings to understand their perspectives and provide support. One day, I had a particularly encouraging conversation with Tom, a junior staff member who had been struggling with a project. I'm really stuck on this report, Michael, Tom admitted, looking frustrated. I feel like I'm not making any progress. Let's take a look at it together, I suggested. Sometimes a fresh perspective can make a big difference. We reviewed the report, and I offered guidance on how to approach the problem. By the end of the meeting, Tom's confidence was restored, and he thanked me for my assistance. I really appreciate your help, Tom said. It's great to know you're approachable and willing to jump in when we need it. Anytime, Tom, I replied with a reassuring smile. That's what we're here for, to support each other. Outside of work, my life was also beginning to stabilize. I had managed to find a modest apartment in a quieter part of town, one that provided a peaceful sanctuary after a long day. It wasn't luxurious, but it was a place where I could start fresh. One evening, I received a call from Lily. Our conversations had become less frequent since she left, but we had maintained a cordial relationship for Sophie's sake. Hello, Michael, Lily said, her voice a mixture of warmth and hesitation. I wanted to check in and see how things are going with you. It's been going well, I replied. I've started a new role, and it's been challenging but rewarding. I'm slowly getting back on my feet. I'm glad to hear that, Lily said softly. Sophie and I are doing okay too. She's adjusting to her new school, and we found a nice place to live. Good to know, I said, feeling a pang of longing for my daughter. I miss her a lot. I hope she's happy and thriving. She is, Lily assured me. We've been talking about planning a visit soon. I think it would be good for Sophie to see you. That sounds wonderful, I said, feeling a surge of hope. I'd love to see her. As the months passed, I continued to adapt to my new role and personal circumstances. My team at McAllister Enterprises began to gel, and we made significant progress on our projects. I found a renewed sense of purpose in my work and began to rediscover my old self-confidence. One day, Robert called me into his office. "Michael, I've been meaning to talk to you," he said, gesturing for me to sit. "I've received excellent feedback about your performance and leadership. You're making a real impact here." "Thank you, Robert," I said, feeling a sense of pride. "I've been working hard to contribute to the team's success." "I can see that," Robert said with a nod. "I also wanted to let you know that we're considering you for a higher-level role within the company. Your growth has been impressive." The recognition was a testament to my hard work and determination. It was a sign that I was not only rebuilding my life, but also carving out a new path for myself. As I looked back on the journey from the man I was before the injury to the person I had become, I realized that the road to recovery was not just about regaining what was lost, but about forging a new and better future. With each passing day, I continued to build on the foundation of my fresh start, embracing the challenges and celebrating the victories along the way.